Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Kodash. The honors go out to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Rule and Teach Well. Shalom, well, Barakiam to you brothers and sisters out there. Alright, this is the brother Malachi from the Great Millstone Nashville camp. And Lord will enough this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect. Right, I'm just almost at work here. I just wanted to go ahead and do an in-transit lesson. Just it's really stuff that comes on the mind. I just watched this about an hour of LD Ashwamba's recent news and prophecy, and people will probably get in this spirit of, because the House and the Senate passed this bill, the problems are just, averted. And the reality is that's not the case. Just because the government opens back up doesn't mean that the economy and that America still ain't on its way out. Prophecy is still going to happen. Habakkuk 2 and 3. I believe it's 2 and 3. Let me go ahead and get that. Because I didn't have a specific article I wanted to get into. I just wanted to, maybe read a couple. But, I'll just read this one. Because this one in itself shows that this world is just wicked, man. It's just evil. It's evil. This shouldn't be a thing. All right, it says, new report shows children as young as 6 are being exposed to, you see the word, through social media. And that's just disgusting, man. That is absolutely fucking finished. How would you feel if your kid comes up to you showing you a video, some crazy weirdo, a corno video, asking you what is this, what's going on? I'm gonna be hot, But then again, my child wouldn't have social media at 6 years old. All right, but that's not the point here. There's a lot of people that go onto social media. Why is that on there? Before you used to have certain websites that were dedicated to that type of stuff that you would have to know about and go on. It wouldn't be something that you just see on Facebook or fucking X or whatever the fuck. It just shows how completely tarnished this kingdom is. What is it called? Sexual immorality. Everything's just hypersexualized, and everything's just demonic here, man. Everything is just completely and utterly demonic here. And you, in what, a month and like a month and a half maybe or so, people are going to be bowing down to put Christmas presents under a fucking penis. Talking about the Christmas tree, that's what it represents. What was it, Nimrod's penis? You're worshiping a fucking dick, man. It's just through. This place is completely finished. And then towards the end of this month, right, Thanksgiving, they're going to celebrate the genocide of the Gadites and Reubenites, and you can throw Issacharites in there, right? Because they were Native Americans as well, in Mexico, but you got them, some so-called Native Americans, especially depending on what tribe, like down south, they could be Gad, they could be Gad, but I'm saying they could be Issachar, but mainly Gad and Reuben. And then especially you look up at Canada, because Canada too, genocide. A bunch of Gad up there, that was a big place where they had the Indian boarding schools, as they call them. And I completely forgot what scripture. Oh yeah, Salakia. I remember now. Habakkuk chapter 2. Yep, verse 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So it's not going to tarry. At the end of the day, in our lifetime, but we don't believe it's no 10, 20, 30 years from now. Okay? We don't even really believe 5. But if we're here for another 5, then it is what it is. At the end of the day, that's not what matters here. What matters is, because, of course we want to get out here today. We wanted to get out of here yesterday, but what really matters is the fact that Yahushua is coming back in our lifetime. Okay, it's not like because the government opened back up, now all of a sudden Yahushua ain't coming. No, he's still coming back. All right, the MOTB, which is the microchip implant, that is going to be mandatory on the planet Earth, especially here in America. America will be destroyed in the Third World War by nuclear ICBMs. All right, 200 million warheads. It's going to be laid desolate. Okay, New Jerusalem's going to come down, and under the reign of Yahushua, establish righteousness in the earth. All these things are still going to happen. It doesn't change a damn thing just because the government opened back up. Just because they're going to dish out potentially $2,000 checks, which you don't even know. Most people don't even know what that's really about. All right, introducing that UBI, and then also just helping crash stuff even more. And then a lot of people just gonna buy a bunch of folly with it, probably. When, for all you know, that could be the last large sum of money that you get. So you really want to think about spending it wisely, Now, obviously you got stuff to take care of, but personally speaking, whatever you think you might need, man, get that. Stock up on, get a couple packs of water. It never hurts. I mean, you got $2,000 and water's like what, $5, $6 a 24 pack. So get a couple of those. Some people got bug out bags, and we're not doomsday preppers, but it wouldn't hurt to get you some things. Some brothers may have a generator, bug out bag. I already said that one. Life straws, MREs, lawful ones. But just let the Spirit guide you. But what I'm saying is just use that for important things, which that's really how it always supposed to be. Our camp head over here, every time tax season would come in, he'd always remind all of us, hey, whatever you need fixed on your car, whatever bills you need to take care of, you need to catch up on things, get your credit up, whatever, he's like, do that first before you spend it on anything else. Because Jake knows how to spend money. And I'm speaking off of experience. I need to work on my saving more, but sometimes it's not easy because Jake wants to have, a bite to eat. Jake wants to get something to sip on. Jake wants to, actually just chill and enjoy, creation, and just actually relax. But we know that's not really possible here. Now there's a balance, right? Because you can still, have a nice meal and get you a drink or, maybe a form of entertainment, but this is ultimately still our captivity, and we understand it. We know that, okay? But we got to gear our minds, to be more on the productive side, more on the prepared side, and most importantly, spiritually prepared, right? Isaiah 33:6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. So you need to be tapped. You need to be tapped the F in, man. You need to be tapped in. You need to be studying, praying, fasting, doing what you can. Nobody's saying you gotta, fast or pray X amount. That's with your spirit. Just make sure you're doing what's required of you. Be on fire for your spirit. Look to please the Lord, because He's the only one that can deliver us. Like it says in 2 Ezra, the 16th chapter, He's the one that sends the plagues. Who can send them back? He's the only one that will be able to stop the plagues, but He's not going to stop the plagues. But the scriptures tell us that, I believe in Psalms 91, I think there's also in Isaiah, it talks about my servants shall eat. It talks about you're going to see people dying on your left and your right, but it's not going to come nigh your dwelling. All right, it's the reward of the wicked. That's Psalms 91. Right, hiding in that secret place, which is His truth, His knowledge. Just a whole bunch of scriptures talking about the protection of the elect in the time of Jacob's trouble. You got even the scripture itself, Jeremiah 13:7, but he shall be saved out of it. Saved out of what? Jacob's trouble. Who? The elect. The elect are going to be preserved, like it says in 2 Ezra. I believe the 9th chapter. Through works and faith. Because remember, you can't have one without the other. You need them both. They both accompany one another. They both support one another. But as long as you're doing what's required of you, you have nothing to worry about, man. you're never going to be destitute. Yeah, you might have a stomach growl, and you might get a little cold, and you might get wet, from rain, or, in the time of Jacob's trouble being pilgrims upon the earth, because we still got to be tried as a gold in the fire. But you're not gonna get hypothermia. You're not gonna starve to death. You're not gonna die from dehydration. None of these things is gonna happen to you. Okay, you're gonna be protected. The worst thing that's gonna happen to you is you get captured and you get beheaded for the words of Yahweh Shema Shai, and that's not even, it's technically the worst in terms of carnally, but really that's an honor. It's an honor to be able to give up your life, and you know how much the Lord is going to reward you for that sacrifice. All right, Yahweh Shai said, "He that hath forsaken father and mother, brethren, houses, etc., for my name's sake, shall see 100-fold in the kingdom of heaven." And you gave up your life. Your body and your head literally are severed from one another for Yahweh Shema Shai's sake. You don't think you're going to be rewarded for that? And your works follow you. You finished. All right, you could get beheaded. There could still be a whole month or two left of Jacob's trouble, but you already gone. Like, you already won. You're sealed. Like, you're done. Like, you completed your mission. You don't have to wait them 60 more days. But of course, I'm pretty sure everybody would rather, wait 60 more days, than have to go through that, getting beheaded. Because it's always easier said than done. Jake is always, trying to tell themselves that we're tough, which, Yahweh Tazah, if we got to take death and we take it on the chin, absolutely. But, we're not no tough guys, man. We know we're still in the flesh. So it's not, which the Lord could throw a bold spirit on you, like he did with that one. I hate that I always forget his name. It was a few hundred years after Yahushua. He got put on a grill, and he said, "Flip me over. I'm done on this side." That could be you. You could have, and I'm not saying in reincarnation, which it could be somebody out there, but I'm saying that that type of spirit could be put on you. Right? Because really, at the same time, it really might be easier to get beheaded than live 60, because you don't know what the next 60 days is going to hold. And of course, we'd rather. Jake is also in the spirit of just wanting to get it over with. Like, when you were a kid, you get on a roller coaster. You're like, man, you're waiting in that line and going up that hill is really the hardest part. You just want to get it over with. I'm like, man, well, we just come on. I'm just trying to get on this ride and get this over with. And then the craziest part about it is, after you get off that roller coaster, you're like, bro, I'm not gonna. That was a lot of fun. The excitement, the ups and the downs, because that's how this walk is gonna be. There's a lot of bullshit that comes, with walking a straight gate. By bullshit, I mean good bullshit, in the sense of it ultimately makes us all better. When it's all said and done, we're gonna look back and be like, that was definitely worth it, man. That is all that I had to do to get to the kingdom of heaven. Like the scriptures say, a light affliction. All right, a temporary period of time I had to suffer. I had to have wet underwear and wet socks, for essentially 2 hours, and I was able to dry off in a mansion with $1 million. Are you fucking kidding me? That's easy as shit. And then one thing that keeps me going, bro, there's an Edomite out there right now. His life is worse than yours, and he has nothing to look forward to. At least we have something to look forward to. We got hope. And especially since we're in this truth, we really got hope, man. We can call upon the names of Yahweh Shema Shai. And that's what really matters. Being able to call upon the names of the Lord. So Lord, when this lesson was edifying, that's just something I want to throw up real quick. I pray it was edifying. Before I close, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Shema Shai, B'Ashem Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostle, that was a great millstone. And continue to fight.